Welcome to The Fight with Teddy Atlas. I'm Ken Rideout, joined as always by legendary trainer and great philosopher Teddy Atlas. And today we've got a third man in the studio with us. Super excited to talk to this guy, the unified super welterweight champion of the world, Julian Jrock Williams. What's up, champ?
How you doing, man? Thanks for having me. Appreciate you guys.
With us.
Yeah.
I even put this shirt out of retirement for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for you, because I know, I mean, it sounds like such a given and such a commonplace phrase here for anybody that's going into something that's important. But I know that I've never talked to you before, but I know that this was your mindset, that there was no surprise. There was no, finding out in the first couple rounds if I belong here. You already knew. Mm-hmm. You knew the answers.
I did.
It was just a matter of doing the test, but you knew the answers before the test was done. Yeah. Some people might call that cheating, but that's not cheating. That's preparation. That's confidence. Mm-hmm. And it's also being forged by something. Mm-hmm. You had already gone through the furnace. You had already gone through your own fire.
Yep.
With earlier laws and with things in life.
Yeah.
All those things set you up for this. Mm-hmm. And so I really did. I don't do things if I don't mean it. I don't say it if I don't mean it. But I really thought, let me wear this. It looked better on me a few years ago, to be honest. It's kind of old.
Right.
It's the shirt that I wore when we were in camp for Mora and Holyfield.
Okay. So
it's 25 years old. But and it did look better before. But I brought it out for you because, again, there was no doubt when I saw you in the ring. I saw your approach. I saw your fight plan. Because you could have made a couple, you and your trainers, the people with you who did a great job, mm-hmm. and one of them we're lucky enough to have here in the studio with us. They could have had options. You could have boxed on the outside. Mm-hmm. There was options to go with this. But just the way that you went about it, you went into the other guy's territory. Mm-hmm. Everyone said, well, if you're going to win the fight, it can't be on the inside. So you went right on the inside.
Right.
And it was no accident. It's what you prepared for. It's exactly what you guys wanted to do. And that's why I said this shirt is perfect, because you expected to win. You knew. It was kind of like I say to fighters, you had sketched it out already. That night, the win was sketched out in your mind, in your preparation. Now it was a matter of coloring it in.
Yep.
It was done.
Yep.
It was done. And I've never seen a situation more apropos to this saying, expect to win. Yep. Because, again, it becomes a cliche. People say, oh, yeah, of course I expect. But they don't expect to win. Yeah. They don't expect to win.
Right.
They hope that they're going to win.
Right.
But I saw it. I saw it in everything I just said. And you don't see that all the time, that this guy knows he's going to win. Mm-hmm. So I got this out of multiple.
I like this shirt. You might have to let me borrow that.
Yeah, I will. It'll fit better on you than me.
And the trainer you're referring to is Stephen Atwoods, who's only been training fighters since 2009, and he's now the trainer of the unified champion of the world. So he's here. He doesn't have a mic in front of him, but I wanted to make sure we recognized him because, like Teddy said, that was obviously a big part of the fight plan. And you give the plan, the fighter executes it, so it's a real team effort. So kudos to you, Steve. I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the fight, because that was a hell of a fight.
Is that what you want to talk about? Or maybe you want to talk about the subway system?
Oh, no. We've got a lot to talk about. This is one of the most interesting guys in boxing, so we've got a ton of topics to cover. The only reason I want to get to the fight is
Philly
because
cheesesteaks.
I think a lot of the backstory and the other things involved with your life are incredibly interesting too. I just want to make sure we get to the fight because the other stuff is real good.
Right.
So in the fight, like I said, it was super all action fight. I mean, it was super fun fight to watch. And I mean, both of you guys at times looked really good. Obviously, I saw it like most people, a one-sided beatdown, but he had some flashes there. And one of the things that you mentioned earlier that I noticed was you were hitting him with combinations and stepping around, and that's something that you guys worked on. Maybe you can talk about what the fight plan was coming into the fight and how it played out in regards to what you expected.
And I had one thing. Why? Because, again, I said it. I think I said it right at the beginning. You could have boxed on the outside. Right. There were options to this. Why did you choose to go right into the other guy's, his wheelhouse, so to speak, and back up a guy that most people would have said that's the wrong choice?
Firstly, I think that size gets a little bit overrated. If two guys weigh and we both weighed in 154 pounds, he didn't get the weight in at 168 and I had to come in at 54. He weighed in at 154 pounds. I think sometimes size get overrated, and it's more about skill.
How you use that size.
How you have no doubt about it. I did notice that he was a slow starter. They try to make it seem like he started slow on purpose. That's a flaw that he has.
Of course.
You know, nobody wants to lose rounds, and nobody wants to get punched in the face. At least I know I don't.
No, not if you're normal. Not
no
if you're
doubt about it. Right. As far as the game plan, I don't want to give it away too much because we might have to fight him again.
Sure.
But I think positioning and skill is so important. More so positioning. And
you could be smart on the inside as well as on the outside.
Absolutely.
Most people think they equate in their mind, like, if he's going to outbox a guy who's supposedly bigger, stronger, right?
Yeah.
Because that was the perception going in. He's going to have to be on the outside, being agile, being, giving out. But you can do those things inside.
Absolutely. Another thing that my coach touched about was the perception of this fight was I was a smaller junior middleweight. He was going to walk me down, beat me up, and stop me late. Julian Williams a little bit, he got some decent skill. He's a little bit flashy, but he don't got no power. He don't got no chin, and I'm expecting her to knock him out late. He's in his hometown. He got all the momentum. He's a unified champion.
Who said all these things?
Everybody.
Sounds like a weatherman. They always get the weather wrong.
Yep.
I love hearing this, though. I love it. And I love that you remember every word they said
everything.
like it was yesterday.
I remember everything. So basically, my coach knew that the perception would win me the fight because the perception is I have to move to win the fight. And I'm saying to myself, Erislandy Lara is a 5'8.5". He probably could be a welterweight. He's pretty small. He needed a last-second knockdown. I'm not taking nothing away from Jarrett. He's a great fighter. But I call a spade a spade. It is what it is. He needed a last-second knockdown to beat Erislandy Lara, who's not a good inside fighter, who to me don't seem like he's physically strong. He got a decent punch, and he's pretty much he fights off his back foot a lot. So I think at the top level of boxing, styles make fights. I can fight on the inside. I can fight in mid-range, and I can use and fight off my back foot. But going into the fight, me and my coach said, well, listen, we're not running from him because you don't have to. Who knows if he's stronger than you? This is what he told me. He said, yo, he's stronger than anybody else. We don't know. He might not be stronger than you. You know what I mean? I went to the Bay Area. I did a strength and conditioning camp for the whole month of February. Then I came back here. I started boxing camp. Then I went back out there in April for like half of April. And then I came back at like April 15th or 16th or something like that. And we went into the fight. But it's about skill. I knew I was more talented. I knew I had way better skill. I knew I had better defense. And I know if I kept that crowd quiet, they couldn't deny me.
You're doing good.
They couldn't deny me.
If it's quiet in there,
you're doing good.
Things are going pretty good.
Yep. So I think he's a good fight. I just think I'm a bad style matchup for him.
No, I think what you did was you exposed him in certain areas. For the people that
I don't want to say exposed because I think.
Well, I think you did expose them. I mean, listen, that's not cursing somebody. That's not disrespecting somebody.
No, right.
We all have areas where we're not as strong as some people might think they are. We all do until you find out.
Right.
Till you find out.
Right.
And I think that you also taught people a little bit about what. You just said it yourself, what strength really is. There's physical strength, there's mental strength, there's emotional strength.
He told me, he said, sometimes strength is in your attitude.
Well, I think to that point, I think your trainer obviously did a hell of a job by understanding such things and bringing them to you. But I think a part of it was you had two ways you could win the fight. You could win on the outside, you could win on the inside. He only had one way he could win.
Way, yeah.
One way.
Yep, you're right.
Inside. He wasn't winning on the outside. He wasn't out jabbing you.
No.
He wasn't out maneuvering you. He wasn't out mobiling you.
Yeah.
I just made that word up. But, we create things in here. He wasn't doing any of that. So the only way he could win was inside. But if you could go inside and beat him, then you
take everything away from him.
You discourage him.
You discourage him.
You take his hope away.
Yeah.
You know what that would be like? That would be like playing a basketball game against Shaquille O'Neal, and you take away his inside game.
And you got to make him shoot a jump shot.
And you got to make him, he can't even shoot free throws.
Right.
Now you got to make him shoot 20-foot shots.
Right.
Game over, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And that's genius in a way. And I'm careful about those words I use. Because I care about the legitimacy of what I say.
Mm-hmm.
For myself, for my family, for, without your reputation, you have nothing.
For sure.
That's genius in its own way. That your coach understood that. That he was able to understand that and get you to understand it, that not only are there ways to technically break a guy down, physically break a guy, but mentally and emotionally. That if you go inside and you beat him at his game, you are going to discourage him. And when you discourage a man, game over.
It's not so much beating him at his own game. I remember my coach kept telling me, he said, man, this is before the fight. This was years ago. He said, fighters should never get obsessed with one trait. Like, oh, I'm big. Oh, I'm fast. Oh, I can punch hard. Because what happened if you fight a guy that's faster than you? Or what happened if you fight a guy you punch hard, but he can take your punch? Your punch don't bother him.
But that doesn't exist in this game that much.
Nope.
It really does. And you expose that.
He kept talking about his size. If you watch the face-off, he like, you're not going to stand on the inside with me. I'm like, why you think that? Because I'm big. I'm big. My size. I said to myself, this dude is so obsessed with his size. First of all, he's not that big. He's like a half inch taller than me. He just get fat in between fights, and I don't.
Second of all, last I checked, you weren't going to do a bench lifting contest before.
No doubt about it. Right.
Last I checked, right?
Right.
Or you're not going to do like the wrestlers did when they actually could pick up the boxer and Rocky, whatever number that was, 104, where he picked him up in the air.
Right.
That's not where you're going.
He was so obsessed with his size, and he thought he was so much bigger than me. At the weight, he's putting his hand over my head like he's so much.
But that was his weakness.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
You exposed you exposed his weakness, his shortcoming in what he depended on, what he thought. It's all about what you think. You know by now, 75% of this business is
mental,
right here. And you opened the door on that for him. Because basically, if he can't be stronger, he can't win.
He can't win. In his head.
In his mind.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
That's all that really matters, yeah.
If he can't be stronger, he's depending on that in order for him to have the confidence to win.
But to his credit, he did try into the end. But it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same gump and the same push that I seen with, like, for example, he fought Austin Trout. Austin Trout that's the fight we really watched. He told me, let's see, yo, man, forget the Tony Harrison fight, forget the Lara fight, watch the Trout fight. I'm like, yo, I'm not even a southpaw. I'm like, I don't want to watch the Trout fight. Like, yo, just watch the fight.
The Trout was in front of him.
Yeah, but Trout was hitting him. He was turning him, making him miss. But he said Trout starts showing fatigue. He starts showing discomfort. And that gave him some morale. And he was moving too much. And a lot of people know Trout was coming off of like a year and some change layoff. He had just fought Jamal Charlo. And he took off and he jumped right into the Jarrett Hurd fight. And I thought he did really well. And I thought his corner stopped the fight a little bit too soon. And a big fight like that, I told him, don't ever stop a fight on me. We ain't working together no more. You stop a fight on me. But I thought Trout was doing really good, but he was moving too much. He was showing too much discomfort. Every time he hit him, he falling all over the place. And it gives him life. So I said, if I move away from this man, his hometown, he's a downhill fighter. His fans want to get into it. I'm going to have a real fight on my hands. So it's better if I go to him early or at least get in the mid-range and put out that fire with water.
To that point, when you knocked him down in the second round, it was beautiful. Could you see, we've had fighters on in the past that have said, like, once I saw, like, the guy Teddy trains when he beat Adonis Stevenson for the title, he said Adonis Stevenson rocked him in the 10th, and he said when he came back out in the 11th, he could see in Stevenson's face that he was defeated.
Right.
When you knocked him down, at any point, did you feel the emotion or the momentum switch where he looked any different, or did he have the same demeanor all night?
Not really. I did see some, but not in the second round. My trainer told me I was going to knock him down. He like, yo, trust me, when you hurt him, just don't go crazy. You're going to knock him down because you hurt everybody, even despite people saying I can't punch.
You saw deterioration later in the fight, though.
Later in the fight. It was too early. in his head, I think he still has some hope. Like, okay, I'm a slow start. Because in his head, it's funny how the mind works, because they put in his head that he's just a slow starter, and now he's really starting slow. You know what I mean?
Like, he just the perception of reality.
You don't give away the first 3-4 rounds to nobody. People start talking about the whole lead up to the fight. Oh, we know he's a slow starter. What are you gonna do? I said, well, I plan on winning every round. The fight start when that first bell ring, not in the 5th round, despite what y'all trying to make like light of his flaw. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. It's just the way the whole promotion, the way they set it up, it was so disrespectful. But I just stayed patient. I didn't even complain because I knew I was gonna win. I knew I would make them look so dumb. And I love Fox. I don't want to like crap on Fox, but I think that they got to do better. Is if you promoting these
what
fights,
are you talking specifically about the commentating?
The commentating, yeah, in the way that the fight was promoted through Fox. If you're supposedly putting on great fights, you want to get 1 million viewers, 100 million viewers, or whatever they want to get. You can't tell people, listen, one guy's gonna win and one guy's here to lose. You got to make it seem like it's gonna be a competitive fight. You can't just ride the coattail of the A side. I know he was the A side. I mean, something you got to accept.
Sometimes too, it can be shilling. It could be because they have one guy on their side that they're promoting. Mm-hmm.
But technically,
let's be honest.
Technically, we're signed with the same people.
Yeah, but they have a guy who's undefeated. You're not undefeated,
for sure.
And that penny is shinier than his penny.
But sometimes
but that's how they think.
Undefeated
I'm
record
not saying
don't
it's
mean
right.
Yeah, for sure. No,
I'm not saying it's right.
I'm
just saying that's what they hook onto. Mm-hmm. That's what they're going with.
Yep.
But also it could be ignorance. It could be.
I think it's a little bit of both.
You're smart.
Well, the nice thing is you expose that, and now the ball's in your court.
Because they don't know necessarily who are they to tell you who's good and who's not good.
Right.
Because
some of the people that's not even boxing guys.
Yeah, they don't really. I mean, they've seen him in the fights that they've seen him, but they haven't seen necessarily you in those fights. They haven't been watching you to that level. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Probably the only time they would watch is the one you lost.
That's what they did.
But the comeback fights, the fights to get things right, to get you to where you needed to be for this fight, they don't necessarily see that.
No.
So they don't necessarily, and they're not purposely doing it, but they don't necessarily have the ability to really appreciate what you are and what you're capable of. And I'll say one other thing. And for me, this is the most important thing. Boxing, careers, life, it's a journey. It's not you get from point A to B. No, there's a lot of stops between this point and that point. And those stops are important. And what you learn during those stops, during the passing of those places, is going to tell where you're going to wind up. And a lot of times people don't see that. They see the loss, the stoppage loss that you had to Charlo, and they don't see what you gained from that fight. They only see negative. Because as a society, that's what we do.
Right. Especially now with social media and
they just see the negative. But they don't see that fight, for me, and this is the first time I talk to you, but for me, that fight was the coming of Julian Williams.
I think so.
Talk to it. Go ahead.
Well, what I didn't do was blame everybody. I didn't fire nobody on my team. I didn't say, "Oh, it was your fault," because we didn't have me prepared. We did was just cool. We take the backlash, we take the pay cuts, and on the bottom of everybody undercuts. I knew I was going to get back. We just went back to the gym and just worked on every single thing.
Let me ask you a question. Forget about the technical things. Big deal. Big deal. I get it. For me, what did you find out about Julian Williams in that fight? For me, that's what that fight was about.
Nothing, because I knew I had heart. I knew I had skill. I knew I had determination.
What did you learn from that fight, from that experience, that you didn't know going in that it would take? I mean, you understood the conditioning. You understood the throwing certain combinations, certain distance from certain places. Don't leave with a left hook in front of the guy.
Right.
All those basic things, right? You understand range, distance. But what didn't you understand until that night that maybe about what you controlled, about about not really understanding how much what was going to happen was in your control. Was kind of like the first time you experience something. No matter how you prepare for it, until you experience something like that, you're not quite prepared for it. You know, the first time when you're a kid, and this is without getting punched, but when you're a kid and you ask a girl to dance and she answers, there might be no words come out of your cotton mouth because you that feeling never existed before. Right? It just never existed. You prepared your mind for it, but until you do it, until you feel it, that feeling overcomes you.
Right.
That's the thing for the fighters that are listening to this to learn, and people in life to learn. No matter how you prepared for that, I just know that until you went through that moment, there had to be things in that moment that you just didn't understand the way you did afterwards.
I think getting knocked down, because before that fight, I've never been knocked before and after that fight, I've never been knocked down in my life, amateur or pro. So I didn't I say one mistake I made is that I was a little bit anxious and I didn't respect his power.
Let me jump in, because when you were talking, I was going to say, again, this is a little more difficult than most people will be used to hearing this question. And some people will say, where'd that come from? They don't understand it. But did you find out that you allowed yourself to get knocked down in that fight?
That I allowed myself? I don't know what you mean.
Allowed yourself in a way that you didn't know you weren't prepared mentally for the things that you had to be prepared for, the continued consistent level of concentration.
No,
whatever you want to call it.
Up until that point of my career, I was mentally prepared as much as I can be without having the necessary experience
in that fight. But did you find out that moment of what overtook you in that fight? What happened to you? The feelings, like asking a girl to dance for the first time. The feelings that came, that just rushed at you, which you had never had experience with before, those feelings. That those feelings that just came at you from all directions, that you weren't prepared for those feelings. I'll give you an example.
No, to be honest, I was 100% prepared for that fight. I think that...
No, I don't mean in the conventional sense.
I know exactly what you mean. You mean mentally prepared.
And even you were prepared up to what you could expect that fight to be.
For sure.
Until the fight was what it was.
Well, you can't have an experience until you have the experience.
What I'm saying is you had to go through... I guess what I'm saying is you had to lose to win.
Absolutely. I believe that. Because you gotta... This win feels so much better after what I went through for the past 3 years.
Did you find out in that fight that no matter how the pressure makes you feel, of the new pressure, all right? No matter how the moment makes you feel, that you and only you are in control of what you do, not him.
Yeah.
Could it be for a second that it almost feels like he's in control of you?
Who, the opponent?
Yeah.
No.
Never?
Never. Because
George Foreman, in his fight with Ali, right, he had never been in that place. He was able to physically dominate everybody. Everybody.
Yep.
And then that night, something different happened. And he got to a place where he had never been before.
Yeah.
There was no preparation for it until it happened.
Yeah.
Like you.
Yeah.
And he felt in that fight, during that fight, it got to the point where he forgot that he was in control of his choices. That Ali made him forget, you have a say.
Right.
It's still your say, even if you're tired.
Right.
It's still your say. And he forgot for a moment that it was his say. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Did that happen a little bit?
I don't think so. I just think that to be quite frank, I just think did you watch the fight?
Yes.
You watched the whole fight?
This fight that you just fought?
No, I'm talking about the Charlo fight.
No.
Okay.
I saw that.
When you get a chance, go watch it. I was doing really well. I thought I should have been.
How many rounds? When you say it was doing well, how many rounds?
It was the 5th round.
No 5-round title fights.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
I'm just.
You're right. No, you're right.
You guys got into an exchange, and he threw a sneaky little right hand uppercut and caught you right on the chin, right?
What happened was I overshot a right hand. It was so easy to hit him, and I got a little bit greedy and anxious at the same time, and I overshot my right hand. He countered with a beautiful shot.
Was it right uppercut?
It was a right uppercut, yeah.
Yeah, because when I first saw it, I was like, what did he even hit him with? I didn't catch it. And
Yeah,
they show a
keep talking
replay.
about what happened after that.
Like I said, I got a little bit greedy and anxious at the same time.
If it is.
Yep.
We have a good producer here, by the way.
I didn't realize this TV.
Quick right hand uppercut.
You have a good trainer. We have a good producer. You talk about it.
You're about to crack him right here.
He shows it.
1-2.
Yeah. The right hand, it was just landing so flush, and I just,
Julian gonna hit him with a big right hand right here, coming out the corner.
boom, right there.
Caught him right
it was just
there.
so easy, and
You fell in.
I did it on purpose so I could stop the return.
Yeah.
Charlo makes a good adjustment.
He made a really good adjustment. He started fighting off
Yeah,
his
he
back
took a half a
foot
step back.
instead of his front foot. Like right now, he was on his front foot. I just got a little bit too greedy with that right hand. I should have put it in my back pocket a little bit and saved it.
But there's thoughts going on in your mind that were not going on in your mind prior to this fight. I guarantee you.
What do you mean? Thoughts like far as what?
Thoughts of just not as strong, not as clear, maybe as they had been in other fights. At this point, there's no.
Everything was going like how we planned. We was really prepared for the like the game plan was good. We had a really solid game plan.
Everything technically is fine. I'm talking about the emotional.
Right there.
Yeah, you got caught
I
there.
just overshot the right hand just a little bit.
But were there moments before that when he made his adjustments, which you honestly said before? You said during this round he made adjustments. Mm-hmm. Things of this nature are so subtle.
Mm-hmm.
If they were neon, if they lit up like the lights on Broadway,
Right.
we'd all recognize it.
Right.
But they're subtle. And sometimes you're not even aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm watching your body language there, and it just changed subtly. Tiny bit, but from probably the earlier rounds, which I could kind of guess were pretty solid for you, and even early in that round, to that a little adjustment where some of your shots missed, you got counted, you handled them,
Right.
but you were being taken to a little bit of a different place. Little different place. At a different time in the fight, later in the fight.
Right.
And just subtly, your body language was just changing just a little tiny bit. And that's what I'm talking about, that until you breathe that air, until you've been there,
Right.
until you've climbed that Mount Everest, and you say, well, there ain't much oxygen up here. You know, it's a little different. Until you do that, you're not completely aware of what it is that you're fighting.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying.
I know what you mean.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
And when you came in there with no feint in that moment, you came in a little naked, a little cold, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that with that level of a fighter because you'll pay a price.
Yeah.
But maybe if there wasn't just a tiny subtle deterioration, maybe you wouldn't have came in quite that. I don't want to use the reckless word because it's too big a word, but you would not have come in quite that without regard for something. There would have been a little bit more tightness in your approach. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
But the bottom line is, what happened after that? What did you go through after that? Because for me, you don't win the fight. You don't win this fight you just won. This magnificent fight you just fought, and a great lesson to a lot of people out there when we get into your story of people that should really, truly be motivated by you. I say it all the time. There's no other sport like this sport where no matter where you came from, no matter what's happened to you, no matter what life has done to you, no matter what you've done to yourself in life, if you're prepared for one night, if you don't make excuses, if you're strong enough for one night, if you're determined enough for one night,
36 minutes.
36 minutes, baby, you can make life right. You can make life fair. You can make up for everything.
Yeah.
And you did that.
Yeah.
You should be speaking in places. You should be, the obvious places is, schools and gyms and athletic
I
places.
went to my high school on Wednesday. They actually
Beautiful.
invited me up.
But the less obvious, I want to see you speaking in businesses in front of CEOs.
For sure.
In that, because they all have their own fight. Everybody
got a fight. Yeah.
Everyone's got a fight.
For sure. It's just different. Some is just different from others. That's all.
So what I'm saying is, I know that the fight just started after that loss. And I believe, as my name is Teddy Atlas, I believe that without that fight, you don't fight the way you're not capable of fighting the fight you fought.
I agree with that 100%.
So talk to us. Tell us why that's true.
Well, first I had to go back, and I think maybe I was at that point in time I was a little bit just my whole approach was maybe just a little bit too anxious, and I had to grow some patience. And after I lost, I only had 4 fights in 3 years. Everything slowed down. Money slowed down. Everybody wrote me off. So it made me, I had no other choice but to work on my patience. Because I knew I'd be back. I got Al Heyman, he's the best in the business. I got the best coach in the business. I got all the pieces around. I got great sponsors with Snack and Victor Conti. I got great conditioning coaches. I got everything around me, all the pieces around me that I need to make it to this level that I made it to last weekend. But it was something within myself where I knew I had to just be patient.
Can I replace the word patience with another word?
What's up?
Control.
That too. I think it's all like snowballing in one. Patience.
And for me, that's what I'm saying. You didn't understand what control was and what it wasn't.
Right.
Until you understood what it was.
Yeah.
You thought you were in control.
Right.
When you were fighting Charlo.
Right.
But you weren't.
Right.
Not to that level. Because your coach is very smart. He said you were over anxious. But what is over anxious? Lack of control.
Yep.
So you weren't quite in control of the reins on that horse.
But I think that's a bit of a maturity thing.
It is maturity, but how do you get maturity?
Go through things, experiences.
And you have to go through it.
Yeah.
And listen, sometimes you could go through it and maybe it's not as devastating as that was.
That was devastating.
That was devastating. Yes. But sometimes it has to be that.
Right, for sure.
And I'm just saying, everyone has a journey. And your journey, for me, you do not, I say it again, you do not, because when you believe something, you say it again. You do not get to Hurd and go in there with this.
I know, right.
Expecting to win without that.
Yeah.
I want people to hear that out there. And I want them to be explained to by you. Because this isn't just about, how you slip a right hand.
Right.
Or how do you go to the body.
Right.
No, it's about how do you
handle certain things, because
how
a lot of people couldn't come back from that.
Yes.
I think that a lot of these new age fighters couldn't come back from that. Let me tell you something. That happened back in 1995. That's no big deal. No social media. Terry Norris gets knocked out in the second round by Julian Jackson, and Terry Norris is in the Hall of Fame, and Julian Jackson is not. I think he's about to go in, right? He's about to go in finally.
No, he's going in.
He's going in, but
now.
Terry Norris been in years ago.
The Hawk is going in. He can punch.
He's good. Yeah. He deserved to be in.
Yeah.
But
you're right.
Terry Norris ends up having a better career.
Everyone wants that shiny car now.
Yep. Everything happens so fast now, and if you take one loss, it's over for you. And the promoters act different, managers, trainers,
but back
people
in
act
the old
different.
Days, you remind me of an old school mentality.
Right.
Yeah. You're an old soul to me.
A lot of people, everybody tell me that.
Feel it.
Yeah.
And in the old days, you weren't getting warmed up till you lost a few. Your trainer say after a loss, he turn around and say, now you're almost ready for the garden." What? Nowadays, if you say what you say, you're ready for the glue factory.
Right.
But then now you're almost ready.
Right.
Couple more fights like that. Not that you.
I think that boxing is taking away what's best about the sport. They're taking away the originality of the sport by the direction it's going in now. Like with the everything got to be 40, 50, and everybody's not going to be undefeated. That's not the way boxing goes. Floyd Mayweather is once every 15, 20-year talent, and the way his career was moved, that don't happen that often. I mean, think the last couple of years. Ricardo Lopez, he had a draw. Floyd Mayweather, I can't think of else who retired undefeated. And Rocky Marciano, Calzaghe. Who else? There's 4 fighters in the last... Oh, yeah, and Ward. There's 5 fighters in the last 60, 70 years.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's not going to happen. I think that the sooner boxing and the networks and everybody understands this, then we're going to see the best fights, because I think that the fighters are so scared to lose their they'd rather take short money if they know they're going to win than test themselves and take long money, because if they lose, it's like, oh, man, he's done.
You know what we didn't mention with this?
What's up?
We didn't mention all the fighters who got to 20-0 without taking a fight like you took against Charlo to learn the things they needed to learn, to give them what they really needed to get to that next level. How many of them got to 20-0, 18-0, 17-0, 21-0, and you don't hear about no more? We're not talking about that. They're gone, vanished, finished, off to Pluto. Because if they would have been given that opportunity to fight that fight where you take a deep breath. Well, and I don't mean a deep breath just physically.
What you mean. Deep breath, like I'm tired and I gotta dig deep.
I gotta find myself.
Yeah.
I gotta find out some stuff. I gotta get some questions answered.
If you don't know, you don't know.
But now I'm gonna find out.
Right.
And rather than go into that fight where you didn't find those things out, and then it's well, it's too debilitating for some people.
Yeah.
They're gone.
Yeah. That's why they can't handle it.
They're gone.
And their career is over with.
But you're not, there's that old saying, pay me now or pay me later.
Everybody's paying.
Everyone's paying,
Right.
baby. Pay me now or pay. I like that. Because a lot of guys think, oh, they're doing me a favor. They're giving me all these guys that, you could fill out the scorecard before the fight.
That's a disservice.
But it's a disservice. Because how many guys that could have been formed into fighters don't get that chance? They think they're getting what they want because everyone...
In all fairness, I'm sorry I'm going to cut you off. It's not just the fighter. It's the managers, the promoters, the networks. Everybody wants this glossy 30-0, 30 knockouts, no draws, super marketable. That's not the originality of boxing. It's great if the guy make it to 30-0. That's amazing. But in all fairness... In all reality, that's a lot of times that's not the case. You can still be a great fighter if you had a loss. I ain't never seen a fighter better than Sherry Robinson.
Can we get that up, Rob? Here we go.
He got 16, 17 losses.
You segued me into this beautifully. Thank you. Because you're going to see something right now. Yeah, For me, the greatest fighter of all time, Henry Armstrong. Now, that's not even his record. He had 300 fights, but some of them are on listen. Okay?
Right.
All right. And he had over 100. Look, how many knockouts? 101. Oh, my goodness.
And he held titles in like 3 different divisions all at one time.
All at one time.
That's ridiculous.
And he really won the middleweight 15-round decision with Severino Garcia, and they robbed him. It was a draw. He really had 4.
Wow.
4. The greatest of all time for me. A monster.
Right.
Okay. You ready? Let's go to the beginning of his career. You ready? Gotta go
about
long.
3 pages. About 3 pages.
Gotta go a long way. All right. You bring lunch with you. Okay. Drink some water because I don't want you dehydrated. All right. Here it is. What do you think? What do you? Go ahead.
Wow. And let me tell you something, right? Those dudes back then were 10 times tougher than the men now because they had to be.
Look at that. Look.
It's ridiculous.
Look at that.
1 in 5.
But
1 in 4.
how did he lose his first fight?
Yeah.
Not decision.
Crazy. Got KO'd.
The greatest, maybe the greatest fighter of all time.
Yeah, crazy. You gotta have a lot of resilience to come back from that. And this time, he don't even make it that far because everybody would have been like, man, they'd have shoot him off.
We should make TV executives, promoters, managers, fighters
watch these things.
Look at this.
Because careers are getting thrown to the wayside. Because a guy took maybe a loss or two. He's really a good fighter. And all he needs is like a little bit of fine-tuning and some time and somebody to care about him. And, to have what I have. And he could really be I watched it. I see it in the gym. I've been in the gyms in Philadelphia since I was 12 years old. I've seen this stuff happen millions of times. Sometimes people just don't got the right guidance. They don't got the right promotion. They don't got the right managing.
Exactly.
And that kind of stuff happens. But
Julian,
just so happened, that's in
Julian,
the difference. That was in 1931.
Most people would go somewhere else in this
Yeah.
long record and say, that was the fight where he found himself.
Yeah.
I'm going to say these are the fights.
Right.
These are the fights where he
Right.
understood
Yeah.
what this game was about.
Yeah.
What he was going to have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
What he was going to have to tackle in order to become what he
Right.
became.
Right.
These are the fights where he learned that.
Yeah.
Not the fights up here.
No, that's just that was
He
just,
learned it here. What this was really about.
Well, you showed everyone the blueprint for that because just like you said, the promotion leading up to the fight, you were getting somewhat disrespected. No one gave you a chance.
All you want to do is talk about me getting knocked out, and knocked down by Charlo. I'm like, y'all know I had 4 fights since then, right? You guys do know I had almost 30 other fights before. I did win a fight before.
And 4 fights against good fighters.
Yeah, solid fighters.
Yeah, solid guys that you took, again.
I was an underdog in one of them.
You took what you learned, what you went through, more control, and you used it to win those fights.
Yep.
And to be ready for this fight.
Yep. Everything. It's not just those 4 fights. It's the 22 fights before those too. It's the Charlo fight. It's the fight after. Everything snowballed into one. All the training I've been doing for the past 9 years with my coach before when we first turned pro. Everything snowballed into this one night, and I put it together for that 36 minutes. It's not just the 4 fights after the Charlo fight, even though they played huge parts in the fight. I just think that everything came together on the right night.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about is you and Hurd seem to have tremendous mutual respect. You mentioned his mom in the post-fight comments. Did you know her leading up to that? And what was the relationship between you and Hurd and or his mom prior to the fight?
I don't necessarily have a relationship with them. You know, what it is me and Hurd fought on a couple of cards like together. I think it was 1 or 2 cards together. 2 cards actually. Last week we fought on in April, and we fought in December on the same card. And his family's just so like they're like, he got a really good family, and we never really like did too much talking before our fight. I think I shook his hand maybe once, and we pretty much knew the fight was coming in the pipe. But he got a really good family, and they always like they embrace me and they show me a lot of love, you know. So he kind of like he's a reflection of his family, and I could see it in him. You know what I mean? So there was no need to be talking trash, and we gonna fight. I know he's a dog. I'm pretty sure he knew I was a dog, even though I think he underestimated me a little bit. But that's neither here nor there. So it was no need to trash talk. You know what I mean?
I love it. I love when guys.
You were a smarter dog.
Yeah.
Because my mentor, Customato, used to say, guess what? Daddy, I got news for you. You're supposed to be tough to be in this business.
For sure. Right.
It's not like you say, oh, he's tough.
Right.
No, it's supposed to be.
Right.
It's not like you see a good lawyer in the courtroom. Oh, he talks well. Well, he's a lawyer. I think he better talk well. If he didn't talk well, I don't think he'd be a lawyer.
Right.
Right? Yeah, so, Cus used to tell me, Teddy, you get 2 tough guys. And then one is smarter than the other. They're both tough. That one goes up here. He's tougher. He becomes tougher.
He becomes tougher, right?
Because he's smarter.
Right.
That was you in that fight. You could have done it on the outside. You did it in spots. But
Yeah.
on the inside, making him miss more. Not getting him with the uppercut the way he was. Not keeping your head in the middle. Turning him.
Yeah.
Moving to the side. Stepping around him where he probably didn't even know what was going on, except that I can't quite get off.
But it's all just fundamental boxing, things that I think that he lacked. And
Go ahead.
it's just fundamental boxing.
I know what you were about to say. You're trying to catch yourself. You're trying to be better than that.
Yeah,
you don't want
because
to knock somebody.
I know I don't, because I do think he's a great fighter. I do, and I mean it. And I don't want to take credit away for myself. I just beat a great fighter, or a really good fighter. I don't want to throw that word great around so lightly.
No,
But he's a great,
right.
and in his own right. He's run a really spectacular run for these past couple of fights. Erislandy Lara, nobody really wanted to fight him. He's been non-title defenses. He went there in Vegas. He beat him. He beat a good Austin Trout. He beat a motivated good boxer in Tony Harrison. He's a good fighter, but I think that I was always taught fundamentals since the first day I walked in the gym, and I stick to my fundamentals no matter what's going on. At least I tried to. And I knew the fundamentals would get me over. It's not fundamentals just 1-2 jab, right hand, left hook. It's stepping around. It's keeping your hands up. It's pacing yourself. You know what I mean? That's what want me to fight. I didn't do nothing
How about the
spectacular.
mental fundamentals?
I had to gain that
Yeah.
over the last 2 or 3 years in the mental patience that I built over the last few years. Control, and that's what I was missing in that fight, and it showed. You know, and I get in this fight, I look like a completely different fighter. But I just grew. I was 26 then, I'm 29 now. If I was the same fighter back then, I just wasted 3 years of my life. You know, so I just grew.
You have the right attitude. You really do.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you're a champion of the world right now.
Unified.
Unified, baby.
I throw that in there.
Unified, baby. You know what I find very interesting as a match?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to be matchmaker,
Right.
but I just find it because of all the things we just talked about everyone having their individual journeys in life, and most people aren't aware of it. And Ken's going to lead you into in a minute. You talking about that backstory of you, your life, because people are going to be like, oh,
Right.
wow, and you're not only this fighter, but you're this person, this person that anyone would be proud of.
Right.
I'm very blessed. I have 2 beautiful children, but from what I know about you, if you were one of my children, I'd be proud.
Right.
Not because you beat her,
I know what you mean.
but just the person that you that for me it seems that you have become, and you know, for me, it's a. I mean, we're gonna talk about that story and that journey, you know, to get through the things that you got through. Well, matter of fact, I'm going to let Ken kind of just go into that, into what he had to go through to get to this point in his life.
Yeah, and when you hear the story, I think what once you tell it, I think what makes it so impressive is how thoughtful and considerate you are. The fact that you can compliment his family and he's calling you short at the press conference, because obviously there was a much different vibe at the end of that fight versus the end of the Charlo fight, which I want to come back to.
For sure.
But before we get into any more of the actual boxing, I want people to understand a little bit about you and kind of your journey and your childhood. Do you want to speak to? I don't want to put words in your mouth, or I don't want to lead you. I want to just turn it over to you to kind of walk us through your upbringing and your life.
So basically, I grew up in West Philadelphia, and I grew up in a single-parent household, you know. It sounds like it may be... See, I don't like to... All right, so... I'm not going to say it's cliche because it's my story, you know what I mean? I went through it, so it's not cliche. But where I come from, it's normal. It's not right, but it's normal. But I grew up in a single-parent household, and my mother had 4 kids. I got 2 brothers and 1 sister. I got 3 sisters, but 2 of them from my father. But on my mother's side, I got 2 brothers and 1 sister. We grew up all in the same house in West Philadelphia. Now, my mother was addicted to drugs. I really didn't understand when I was a kid, like drug addiction and stuff like that. So, like, I would be, of course, you know, I was a little bit upset, especially when I found out and, like, things started getting really bad, you know. But on top of, despite her being a drug addict, she was a really good parent. I think sometimes people get it mistaken. Like, when I say my mother had a drug addiction, they think that she was, like, a terrible parent. She wasn't. She was a really good mother, and she worked really hard. I just think that life just beat her up over the course of time, you know. Working jobs and, you know, being a single parent and, you know, trying to make sure our kids got the best of the best, you know. But with all that being said...
It can be pretty scary being a single parent.
Yeah, man. It's just...
we talk about fear. You know, we talk too much in society about fear of, like, if somebody's going to throw a punch at you, that kind of fear.
Yeah, I ain't scared of nothing in a boxing ring.
But there's a lot of fears that can be worse than that.
I don't want to be... I hate being home. I don't say I hate it, but when my woman leave me home with my daughters for 4 hours, I'll be like, where you at? Like, it's tough, man. Can't do it.
You're
it's
preaching
tough.
to the choir.
Yeah.
When my wife leaves me alone with the kids,
not for men.
I'm like,
it's not for men.
The house might as well be on fire. It's panic mode.
Yeah. So I can only imagine my mother having to raise 4 kids on her own. She's a real small woman, about 5 feet tall. Work her butt off. She used to work for the War Department in Philadelphia. You know, I think after a certain time, certain point, like things started getting really, really, really bad. And I remember she bought her first house. And we was living in Section 8 previously. Like these like gated Section 8 houses or whatever in West Philadelphia. She bought her first house, right?
That means government control.
You got it.
Yeah. What
like,
the cost, what the rent is.
You got it, yeah. She bought her first house, but the house was like, it was condemned. It was like a really bad house, but she was supposed to like get it fixed up, and like it was just a lot. So we moved into the house while it was still like condemned, but it was like, when I say it was bad. Like, it wasn't livable.
But to her, it was hers.
It was hers, and she was proud of it. You know what I mean? But make a long story short, she never really ended up getting it fixed up. She tried like little bits and pieces, but it was terrible. But I think as she like got like deeper and deeper into her addiction, like it would just get bad. Like sometimes like the gas would go off in the middle of the winter. It was a big like 3-story house, like 1,600 square feet in Philadelphia. That's big because it's row houses and it's 3 stories. Sure. So sometimes like the heat would go off, or like we'd be in the middle of the winter, like it'd be 15 degrees inside the house, or you know what I mean. It was just tough. But like I said, somebody asked me like what did you do? And you went to like, I tried to tell them, like, yo, you don't really know how poor you are until you're not poor no more. Like it was like, you know what I mean? Like,
you have nothing to just gauge it
to
against.
gauge it against, you know what I mean? So
you assume everyone's living a similar life.
A lot of them was on my block. A lot of people was, you know what I mean? It's just when you grow up in the city, you know what I mean? It's a lot of single parent households. It's a lot of fathers that's incarcerated. It's a lot of, you know, kids who growing up with no heat, or sometimes no electric or no hot water, and sometimes they got to go get food from the food bank and stuff like this. That's just, it's normal. I didn't really realize like how bad things was until I started traveling with the boxing. And I started saying to myself as a young kid, I'm 13, 14, going to the silver gloves and stuff like that. Yo, it's not supposed to be like this. You know what I mean? It was tough, but I wasn't like, I was happy because like I said, I didn't know. So I played basketball, go to the gym in the neighborhood. You know what I mean? You with the other kids are just as poor as you. You know what I mean? Just as dirty as you. It's not like I'm going to school in the suburbs and I got to look at all the rich kids and I'm like, you know, my shoes on the ground. Everybody's shoes is on the ground. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I had a good childhood. It wasn't, how can I put this? I had a good childhood. It just wasn't like I don't know, it's hard to say. But my childhood was bad, but it wasn't as bad. It was bad as far as like stability. I didn't have a stable house for an extended period of time. So, but far as like, it didn't ruin me like within my life. You know what I mean? When I went to school every day, I was still like just like one of the other kids. Like I said before, everybody go through this, and that's why I tell the story, because I don't necessarily like telling it, but I know this kid is going through the same thing, probably even worse.
That's a good point.
So I want them to like, oh wow. That's why I make sure that I'm always in.
So they're not alone.
Absolutely. I'm always in my neighborhood because I want them to see me.
That's the most damaging thing in the world. You made a real good point. When somebody feels they're alone,
yeah,
that they're the only ones,
yeah,
and that makes them inferior,
yeah,
different,
yeah.
But when you find out you're not alone,
yeah, make it easier. Like, all right, well, he did, I could do it. And
can I say one quick thing that I just want to point out, that you mentioned that your mom was a good mom, but she was struggling with addiction. And I have some experience with this, and I think that that's an important thing to point out to people, is that just because you're addicted to drugs, that doesn't mean you're a loser or a bad person. Why are you taking drugs? You're taking drugs to escape something. You're taking drugs because you're afraid of something, and when you're high, you're not afraid. Or it puts it to the side and the addiction takes over, even if it's just trying to score drugs, could take over the priority for the day. So that's an excellent point that you make, that people who just assume, oh, if someone's addicted to drugs, they're a loser. They're not even worth trying.
I think it could be many different reasons. What I do know is that it's a disease. It's like, I'm pretty sure I got bad habits. I never drunk or did drugs or like anything like that, but it's things that I do that's You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure I got bad habits. I can imagine after, like, for example, like, stop biting my fingernails a couple of months ago. It was extremely hard. I've been biting my nails since I was a kid.
You're starting to get yourself in more control, baby.
Right, exactly.
And
exactly.
all these little things.
Right.
I know most people laugh at that, but you hear,
it's a small thing.
You hear us out there?
Thing, right.
It's those things that can make you better.
Yeah.
Those things that you can take ownership over, control over, to get to where you have the practice to control other things that are bigger.
Yeah.
But it has to have practice.
Baby steps.
Yeah. And I want you to go on, and I want you to also finish your story about the whole story of Julian Williams and about your father, because you touched on it a little bit. He was incarcerated.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my dad, he was incarcerated from 91 to 2001. I was born in 1990. So I didn't know my dad. I didn't know what he looked like or nothing. So one day I was in school, and my mother was the crossing guard right on the corner of my school. And she came to get me out early. She was early, like 11:30. I ain't got no doctor's appointment. Right? Like, what's wrong? What's going on? And she like, I ran into somebody. I heard your father just got out of prison, and like, he wants to meet you.
How old are you?
10, 11.
Yeah.
It was I was 11. No, I was about to. It was the winter of 11. I was the winter of 2001. So I was turning 11 in April. My birthday was in April. Okay. So I was about 10. And I think I met him maybe like a couple of days later.
Sure.
I remember talking to him that night, though. And then he went away again in 2006, 2007.
So he did the first stretch was 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? Sounds like.
Yeah, like 9 or 10. And then he went away again for about 3 or 4. But we got a good relationship too. Like, that's like one of my best friends. Super supportive. You know, he's one of my best friends.
That's great.
And we don't. I can't even tell you the time we had an argument. We never had an argument. I think he beat me one time for getting in trouble in school. Just one time. I probably deserved to get beat 100 times. I was terrible in school. But we had, you know, I'm not gonna say a rocky relationship, but we had like an in and out relationship. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times he wasn't there. But what happened was I got my very first coach, who actually taught me the fundamentals and started me out at boxing. He basically, I'm gonna say he adopted me when I was about 13, 14 years old, and I lived with him from till I was 19, till I graduated high school and got more.
He's a big part of your success.
A huge part of my success, because he taught me about working hard, about doing the right thing, being a good person. You know, he's actually a really, really, really good dude.
What's his name?
Kenny Mason.
And there's a lot of, you know, we talk about talents and strengths, right? We've been talking about that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they're the conventional talents, the ones that we grow up with, you know, speed, power, right?
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
All that kind of stuff. And even intellect. Mm-hmm. But, you know, there's also the talent and ability. I know this is going to sound strange at first, but not to you it won't, of being a good person.
Yeah.
There's a power in that.
Yeah, it is. Everybody can't be a good person. You in the boxing business, you know that. Everybody can't be a good person.
There's a power in that.
Yeah.
And that power can be taken to your workplace, taken into the ring. Mm-hmm. There's a power in being a good person, because to be a good person, you have to make good choices. Choices that are hard to make. And that means that you practice in discipline in areas that are going to help you later on.
Absolutely.
With discipline of other things. Mm-hmm. You're a perfect example of that.
I try to, I do believe I'm a good person, but I haven't always made the right decisions. I did some bonehead things as a kid and as a young adult, but I definitely think I'm a good person, and I try to do the right thing to the best of my abilities at all times. And I think you are a reflection of who you're around, and I'm around some really good people. So, and it just always seemed like I always got placed in around good people. Like my first coach, he was a really good dude. The coaches that was in the gym with us when I was first starting out boxing, they were really good people. All of them was fathers. That was like my second family. When I was going through with the homeless situation, living in a shelter, and I would go to the gym. It was like my family.
But it's no coincidence that you become in contact with good people because you can tell you're a good person and you're trying to surround, even if you're not aware of it.
I didn't even know.
Putting yourself around good people. You're not hanging around with kids in the
doesn't
neighborhood.
mean that you do everything right.
Right.
That's right.
It means you care about trying to do everything right.
Right.
You just don't have the capacity yet to do it right.
Right.
But you care, and you know the difference, and you care about the difference.
Yeah.
You know, the reason I say it's a strength, and a strength of yours, obviously, I think you used that strength last week in the ring.
I did.
It showed for me, and I'm not picking on this guy, but I'm just going to use him for an example to help advance this point for people out there to maybe be helped by it. Tyson had a lot of strengths that are really tremendous strengths, like power, speed, quickness, just physical abilities that not a lot of people have, and even an innate intelligence, instinctual intelligence.
Very smart guy.
Yes,
very smart guy.
Yeah, in the ring, but he had all. But so you would think that we're describing a very strong guy, but he was a very weak guy in the end. And one of the reasons why he was a weak guy was what we're touching on, because he would do weak things. We're talking about being a good person. He would do things that, put it this way, I'll put it in the nicest way or the easiest way for people to comprehend. He did selfish things that didn't care about other people's feelings, whether it was a woman, a man, whatever. And he would do things that only satisfied him without thought of what it did, the harm that it might do to someone else.
Well, I think you also got to, I'm going to cut you off, but you got to look at how he was raised up, too.
No, I agree.
But I think he was, I looked into his story a bunch of times. I'm a huge Mike Tyson fan. I think that he was like, he had to fend for himself at a young age, so I think he never was put in a position to care about other people.
But you learned things. We learn or we don't learn.
Also had siblings. Like, I had a little brother that probably grew up a little bit worse than me.
But I'll tell you who he had. When he was 12, he had a house on the Hudson River with a man named Customano.
Yeah.
Okay?
For sure. Right.
So let's not forget that.
Okay.
I kind of know.
Well, you definitely know more than me.
Why I want to say this. He did have you're right. He went through terrible things, like you. I don't know that they were worse. I don't know. They might not have been as bad,
for sure.
to be quite honest. But similar. But when he had an opportunity to learn those things and to be taught those things by the right people around them, you have to have the capacity to make that choice that you want to learn those things. You want to care about those things. Yeah. And he didn't always make that choice. Right. That was his choice. And that wasn't then the conditions. That was his choice. Right. And what I'm saying is that when you make those choices, selfish choices of how you treat other people, and it becomes part of you. Just like the good things become part of you. Right. That strength. Right. It becomes a weakness that's waiting to be brought out. Strengths are waiting to be brought out. Open the door, let them come out. Right. But weaknesses, the only difference is you're keeping the door locked. You're hoping they don't come out. And then you get into a situation where you have to feel like that strong guy. You have to feel like that honest guy. You have to feel like that guy that is what you're projecting yourself to be. You know, that warrior, that guy that has a light behind him when he fights. You know, he fights with righteousness. Right. He fights with a strength. He fights with a cause. But then all of a sudden, when you get in there and the door starts to open, the shadows start to show a little bit about the things that you want to hide, about the selfish acts, about how you treated somebody, things that don't make you feel strong, things that you would want to hide from, things that make you feel that are associated with weakness, you know, doing certain things that only weak people do. When all of a sudden that's there, well, it's hard to be strong when the moment calls us to be strong. And what I'm saying is that shows itself the same way as the strengths show themselves. That those weaknesses, want to call it whatever, bad character, weak character.
Right.
That is ready to expose you, ready to attack you. The same way as the strong things are ready to save you.
Right.
All I'm saying is when the moment came, you were saved by those strong things
Right.
that you put in place,
Right.
that you thought about as a person, that you put in there because of what you believed in, how you wanted to feel as a person. And Tyson and other people, not just him,
Right.
they're attacked by the opposite
Right.
when the moment comes.
Right.
I'd rather be saved than attacked.
Me too.
Yeah, and you have been.
Speaking of making good choices and sacrifices, I know it's warm in here.
That's all right.
I tried to give him some water, and he says he's fasting. And I want to talk to you about training.
It's Ramadan.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about training through Ramadan and your Muslim faith and how you got involved and whatever you're comfortable sharing.
Can I ask you one thing when you go into that?
What's up?
Ramadan started right around.
Yep. So I didn't really have to.
Were you able to put it off? Because do they allow you to?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Okay, so Ramadan
Because
started.
it's hard enough to train when you eat it.
Yeah. Ramadan started May 5th, and my fight was May 11th. So, okay, so Muslim travelers that's fasting don't have to fast. I'm sorry, if you're traveling and you don't have to fast, but you have to make those days up. So when Ramadan started, I was traveling to Maryland for the fight. So basically, I fought, and I would just make the days up after Ramadan is over. When I came back, I immediately started fasting, and that's it. Basically, it's been going good so far. Yeah, I'm fasting right now. Yeah, I technically I could have broke my fast today because when you're traveling, you don't have to fast. But it's only in New York, so I'm not going to break my fast just because.
Again, you're making a choice.
Yeah.
No, really, I don't want to make it like we're.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
You're making a choice that could have been an easier choice to say, I'm gonna, not have McDonald's today, but, I'm not gonna fast today. But you made a choice, because I can make that choice, and I want to make that choice, and to me, that's how you become what you are.
Yeah. It's just discipline. It's just fasting is you gotta be disciplined to do it. I'm pretty sure it's easier and harder on others, but I'm a fighter, and
how about
sometimes we don't have to. When I'm drying out or I'm cutting weight, you know what I mean. It's more than just to fasting to Ramadan, just leaving off your food and your drink.
You've had practice
for sure. I got practice, but it's more to it than that. You know what I mean? It's a lot more to it than that. It's a lot more to it than just. That's
Talk
just
about it. I know it's the spiritual part of it.
Yeah, it's basically getting close to your God. Keeping yourself in remembrance, shielding your tongue. No backbiting. It's so much more than just
caring about how you treat people.
Well, that's all. That's supposed to be around the clock. You know what I mean? It's supposed to
caring about who you are.
Absolutely, but it's just basically being a better Muslim, and
sounds like it's about being a better person.
That too.
Were you raised Muslim, or did you discover the religion later in life?
Well, I got Muslim family members, and my father's Muslim, and the whole side of my family is Muslim. I wasn't born Muslim, but I took Shahada when I was about 18 or 19. So yeah, I've been Muslim for a pretty long time, almost 30. But yeah, Ramadan is so much more than just
fasting.
Leaving off your food and your drink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's a challenge. I don't listen to music. I try to turn off the TV. I don't really watch too much TV. I'm reading the Quran every day. Just bettering myself. Trying to gain more knowledge on a religion. Every day. It's so much more. It's just so much more. I think people will now start looking at just can you at least drink water? You know what I mean? Or can you do this? I feel so bad. I don't feel bad for me. I'm getting so many blessings by fasting a month for Ramadan. So it's a great time.
It's giving yourself a chance to reflect on what's really important.
Yeah, and replenish my soul because I need it. Everybody sins just in different ways. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
put concentration where concentration isn't always put sometimes.
Right. Yep.
That's good. In the Catholic religion, there's something a little similar. It's called in the time before Easter. It's called Lent.
Okay.
where you give up. It's not as difficult as what you're doing, or it's not as involved across the board. It's giving up one thing that you really, really like for those 40 days of Lent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that. I was curious to hear about it. I know you had some Muslim comments after on the post-fight conference, and I liked it. It was cool. But let's change gears for a minute, because I saw a tweet that you sent out yesterday, and I have a bunch of questions about this. You sent out a tweet that read something to the effect of, "If you want to fight me, you're going to have to be in the the Voluntary Anti-Doping Agency's pool for 90 days prior to the fight." I would argue it should be like a year.
We ain't doing the pool. We want stringent testing for 90 days. Not just because the pool is just, we might test you, we might not. If you want to fight me, you gotta get tested for 90 days, no ifs, ands, or buts.
Who's that directed at?
Anybody who want to fight me. That's not. A lot of people think I was talking about Charlo. I'm not.
That's what I thought.
I'm past that, man. I'm gonna fight that dude again. Eventually, he's only at 160 pounds. He didn't move up to 175. He ain't fighting on Jupiter. We won't fight again.
Just remind. Can I jump in one
Go
second?
ahead.
I was talking earlier, and then I told you to do your backstory because I thought it was important.
Right.
I didn't want to be doing my stuff and not get to your backstory, so I kind of interrupted myself.
It's cool.
It's good to interrupt yourself once in a while. Get in that habit of doing that. But you know what I wanted to say?
What's up?
For me, the most interesting fight, because of the two men's journeys, really interesting, would be you and Tony Harrison.
I knew you was gonna say that. I love Tony, man. I love
like
Tony.
a
Yeah,
lot,
yeah.
because I like where he came from.
Yeah.
I like where you came from. I like no excuses.
Yep.
That you said,
Yep.
hey, listen, this is where I am.
Yep.
I'm partly responsible for it,
Yep.
right? I mean,
Yep.
nobody else is.
100%. I was in the ring. I was 100% responsible.
100%. I'm being I'm not usually
Right.
diplomatic, and
Right.
it doesn't work well for me.
Right.
So I'll give it to that. And instead of excuses or anything like that, or sympathy or victimhood or too much of that going on in society.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
really too much.
Everybody's
of that.
so weak.
That's
Everybody.
why I think it's so important for you to talk to people.
Right.
Get that message out there.
Right.
I mean, everyone. But anyway, the point that I'm making is I'd love to see you and Tony Harrison because the journeys were the same. You both had to pick yourself. We're going to use a cliche, all right?
Yeah.
Everyone's comfortable. You had to pick yourself up off
Did.
the ground.
Him too, man. He got beat twice.
Twice.
Yeah. That's not easy.
And he got beat by Charlo, and he got beat by Hurd.
No, he got beat by Hurd and
No, not Willie Nelson. I'm sorry, not Charlo. I did that fight. I should remember.
Yeah,
I did it on ESPN
yeah.
years ago. He got beat by Willie Nelson, and he got beat by the guy you beat.
Yeah.
So it hurt. So, and it's the same travel where people wrote him off.
Right, yeah.
They wrote you off. Yeah. And he was supposed to be a future star.
Yeah.
Real good amateur, everything. Wrote him off.
Yeah.
Done. Get out of here.
Yeah.
And now he goes through the same journey. He comes back, and what he learned in those laws is he used as basically a roadmap,
Yeah.
and that
To
should
get
be
back.
your speech. You go
Yeah.
out there and say, listen,
Yeah.
I got the roadmap
Yeah.
to get to where you got to get to.
I think, let me cut you off. I think that he did it before I did it.
He did.
And it inspired me. I didn't say nothing because I might fight Tony Harrison one day, but I was inspired because I'm like, man, he didn't get knocked out once. He got knocked out twice. In today's society, boxing society, that's like unheard of. When he got that fight, he was ranked like number 7 by the WBC.
That sentence.
Yes, he like the 4-5-1 underdog. Man. And he just came out there. He did not get no gift. I don't know where people get this to commentate. I don't know where people got this from. He beat him to the punch all night. He kept a jab in his face, kept turning him. He stumbled a little bit in the end, but by that time the fight was over. You know what I mean?
He outboxed him all night.
Outboxed him
and when
all
he had to
night.
outfight him, he outfought him.
Yeah.
In spots.
In spots, yeah.
Yeah, in spots. But he fought a brilliant fight.
He did. He
and
did.
thank God they didn't do what they usually do.
Yeah, I know.
Give it to the house fighter.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
God.
It's funny because they both in the same house.
Yeah. But give it to the undefeated
I know
house
what you
fighter.
mean. Yeah.
You know? That shiny a penny.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that for me, and I'm so glad I brought it up because for me, and then to see you react that way, I'm not surprised. For me, you two are the same.
Yeah.
You know,
Maybe in some instances.
Yeah, a lot of instances. Tony Harrison is Julian's Tony. You know, and you guys went through you went down that same road, that bumpy road.
Yeah.
You know, more than bumpy.
Everybody can't come back for what he did.
No.
Everybody can't come back for what I did.
No, not everyone can come back what you did either.
Yeah.
And both of you having traveled down that same road and gone through the fire that you guys have gone through, I just think it's a great story, both of you.
Yeah.
And for me, boy, oh boy, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
That would be
It
interesting.
would be good.
It really would.
But
And it'd be a
I'm
great
liking-
story. And how about having a story on boxing? And you guys out there, you promoters, whatever.
Yeah.
How about network executives?
Right.
How about good stories?
They gotta do some work.
How about
They gotta
do some work.
They don't do no
Do
work.
some work.
Right.
And how about good stories instead of stories about all these bad stories? You know, how somebody's doing something terrible out there and all that, and people, oh wow, yeah. And, how about, again, I hate to bring up Tyson again, but instead of being attached to that kind of negativity, how about stories about the positive things with both your lives? How about that? That would be
Positive
beautiful.
things don't sell. That's the
Let
way
it
society.
sell.
It's the way society is.
Make it sell.
Negative things sell quicker. Why you think Love and Hip Hop is so popular? You didn't watch that show? Show is terrible. It's
Car
like
crash.
It's turning your brain into mush.
People
'Cause
looking to see
negative.
other people behave
so right.
badly.
Thought about it's
So
negative,
honest.
and negative sells, and that's
that's
I
changing.
hate it that it's like that, but that's just the way it is.
But
You
that's
gotta live with
changing.
it.
That's
Hopefully,
changing.
I hope you're right about that.
Let's change it.
I hope you're right about that.
I remember years ago, I had a podium on ESPN, so I said, you know what, I can either collect my check, go home, or I could use that podium for things I think are, worth using it for. And I used it for different things about when these fighters get robbed.
Yeah.
I would go after
Yeah, you go crazy.
you go after those guys, judges. I remember one time saying, put the pictures of these judges that robbed these kids, put it up there, and I want to put a label like they're putting cigarettes. Dangerous, they put, the Attorney General says that these
cause cancer.
they're dangerous to your health.
Right.
Well, these judges are dangerous to the health of a fighter.
Right.
And they didn't like me.
Yeah.
They didn't like me. But I remember one time going out there, and there was a fighter who was just a tough guy who went through the wars, he went through the furnace, all the things, and he never got paid. And it was getting to that point. And I was Mickey Ward. And I said, you guys out there, you're giving all these HBO, you're giving all these millions of dollars to these fat heavyweights that aren't even in shape.
Right.
Right? Give it to Mickey Ward and Arturo Gatti. Make that fight. Make Mickey Ward a millionaire.
Right.
He deserves it.
Right.
Give it to him. And the
fight happened.
One day I get a call from Mickey and says, Teddy, this is Mickey Ward.
Thank you.
That fight's going to happen.
Wow.
I was like, I felt so good. Not that I made it. I didn't.
But you deserved it. You wanted to see a good guy get a break.
But it was just to see someone get what they deserved.
Right.
And boxing deserves you guys. And that's what I'm saying. I'm
Yeah,
going to
but
say the same plea.
The same
plea. Make their stories. Tony Harrison
Tony
and
Harrison got a
Julian
great
Williams.
story.
Make those stories become known.
I hear about all the stuff he does up there in Detroit for the kids. He got the football team, and he giving away prom dresses and all kinds of stuff. He sounds like a really, really good dude,
Sounds
man.
like a champion.
Yeah, he is a champion. Yeah, for sure. He is a champion. But with that being said, is that a bigger story than me fighting Charlo, Jamel, and his brother knocked me out a couple of years ago? And when they're going, because after I beat him, I want to go back and get the rematch. So
go beat him and then fight Tony. But I'm just saying,
for sure. I know what you mean.
They're all great stories.
I'm just saying, I think it depends on how you look at it. You know what I mean? I honestly think it's a great story.
But
for
I'm
sure.
not even saying that. I'm not just really saying just.
But do you need
fight.
a great story to have a great fight?
No, but I mean, I just think that it helps.
Yeah,
it helps sell it.
It does.
But what I'm saying is something else. I'm just saying that society needs a great story. Mm-hmm. People need that.
Yeah, they need to be lifted up.
Yeah, they need to be lifted up.
Yeah, I agree.
That's all I'm saying.
I agree.
And they need to look in it to know that this direction is a good direction.
Mm-hmm.
That it's something to be proud of and to shoot for.
Yeah.
Well, it was definitely an excellent story. I want to talk to some of the activities you get up to outside of the ring, and I know you mentioned after. Go ahead.
About that VADA testing.
Yeah, please.
Unless
Please
we do
keep
it,
leading that.
unless
Keep
we
leading
doing
that fight.
90 days, not in the pool. Unless we doing 90 days of stringent testing by VADA, random blood testing, we're not fighting because these guys are cheating and they're cycling off these drugs.
It's random out there.
Oh man,
Rampant.
Rampant. I'm sorry.
it's crazy. everybody's
Went to college, I didn't.
right. I didn't go to college either, so I thought you was saying the right word.
Well, we get it right. We correct it.
But
We get that.
these guys are using drugs, man. They are.
They're
It's
getting caught
ridiculous.
left and right, and
Left
everyone's
and
got
right.
an excuse.
Everybody got an excuse. It's the meat. It's the I didn't know, and I never heard a drug chief say, "Oh, well, I was trying to cheat. I apologize. I'm gonna throw my hands in there." I've never heard. You know what? I'm sorry. Gerald Miller just the way he was cornered. That dude had more drugs in
Cornered.
his system.
He got caught for every known
Yeah.
PED.
Yeah, it's
We
ridiculous.
talked about it on the
Coming out
last
of a
show.
bank. Officer, I didn't know that $200,000
For sure.
in sacks
No
was
doubt
in my
about it.
was in my trunk.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was there.
See, the thing is, it's not going to stop because I'm gonna tell you why it's not going to stop. Because they're only getting 6-month suspensions. Fighters only fight these times 2 or 3 times
So
a
it's
year.
not really a punishment.
It's not a suspension. I'm gonna miss one fight and then I'm gonna get my fight on the back end of the year and go into the new year and I'm gonna just double up. It's not a suspension. It's literally like a slap in the wrist. That's like if I go outside and kill a man, they're gonna give me 6 months.
It's not a punishment.
All right, okay. You know what I mean? It's
You're
not a
100%
punishment.
Right. It's like telling your kids. They do something wrong. Well, you know what? You can't go out for the rest during the week. I don't go out during the
Right,
week.
for sure. Right.
I don't go out during the week.
Right.
So what are you taking away from me?
It don't make no sense.
Well, what we said about Jarrell Miller in particular is
I don't want to single him out. I want to single him, pick him up because I know I don't want to kick him while he's down because he's probably going through a tough time right now. He probably
put himself
kick
in this
himself in the
very
butt.
difficult
Yeah,
position.
for sure
It cost
he
a
did.
lot of people close to him a lot of money by blowing
Cost
up.
him a lot
They're
of money.
part of it.
That's what I wanted to get to.
Let's take it easy with that.
That's
because
fair.
they're part of the responsibility.
That's what I
Well,
wanted to
I don't
get
want
to.
That's not my. I don't know.
No,
Who
I
was a
understand.
part of what?
But what I would
point a
say
finger.
to Jarrell Miller is, we want to know where you got the drugs, or you get a lifetime suspension, or we'll give you a lesser suspension. But you go talk to your people. You don't have to be the tattletale right now, but you tell them we want to know where you got the drugs. Period.
Right.
Because he ain't going into a pharmacy and asking for all these things.
Oh no, you can't. You can't.
Fighters don't know how to cycle off and cycle
Right.
on. Just like Teddy and Julian said, they didn't go to college. This stuff is being done by guys that have a higher education level to know when to cycle on and when to cycle off. Fighters don't have that capacity for the most part. So you're right. Somebody somewhere is giving these guys this stuff. It's not an accident. And as soon as those people are out, that's when this stuff will stop. You know,
Exactly right.
There was a couple of labs that was raided in Florida. There was baseball players and football players. There was a fighter on there. Yorkis game Bowl was on there also. And those cycles, those things are difficult to read. You know, it's
difficult to follow.
yes. You know,
Those drug tests are
that's
expensive and they have to be specific. You have to test for a specific drug, like the UFC. TJ Dillashaw got suspended for EPO. That guy was being tested constantly. Someone had to tell them, hey, I know he's taking EPO. That's a very specific, expensive test. They hit him with it. Boom, suspended, gone. He was the champion.
Wow.
And so to think that that's not happening, I mean, clearly Jarrell Miller was taking the same thing.
But this is a fight to make the sport clean.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've said it before. It's one thing. They went crazy in baseball when there was steroids in baseball. Oh, we got to get rid of it. The president got involved. The congressman got involved. How come
They ain't beating people up. They ain't punching.
They ain't punching
people in the
on.
face.
They
They hitting baseball
beating
bat.
up a
Right.
baseball.
Right.
I don't care how much you beat up a baseball. It doesn't matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have stuff running through your veins and then you're using that to punch somebody in the skull, that means something.
It's already a brutal enough sport as it
It's
is.
already rough
Exactly.
enough already, and I've said this on our last episodes. But now you're hitting somebody in the freaking head with anabolic steroids.
I actually think she should be charged with attempted murder because that's what can happen.
That's how serious it is.
Kill someone just being regular fighting.
So how come these people? I asked the same question. These congressmen, the president of the United States back in the day, they got involved. Why don't they care about our sport? Why don't they care about the people that are being hurt in this sport, that are being damaged, that are being compromised by steroids in this sport? Why don't you care about it in this
Maybe
sport?
because the people with
Why?
the vested interests are contributing to those political campaigns to make sure that stuff never gets brought to the forefront.
I think that the reason why people don't care is because it's like it's the same reason why they shoot the cows up with steroids, because they get bigger, you make more money. You shoot the fighters up, they become better, you become supernatural. get more knockouts. Knockouts produce more ratings.
Kind of like when they were
money.
juicing a ball and juicing the veins of baseball players.
About hit more home runs.
So the sport got more.
It got more attention.
Yeah.
So I think that the promoters is like, listen, I'm gonna just turn my chair like I don't see it, and you better just don't get caught.
But it's wrong and it's dangerous.
It's extremely wrong.
And it's dangerous, as we just made the point. It's where somebody who's doing it fair, somebody who's doing it without cheating, that they have to go in there in a dangerous sport to begin with, as you just said. Yeah. They have to go in there now with somebody who's got this stuff running through their veins, who can hit them on the side of the freaking skull and
crush their skull and send them
do damage that normally they wouldn't be able to do.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, this is an urgent matter.
Yes,
this is an urgent matter in this business, in our sport, and somebody's got to lead the way. There has to be a face put to it.
Got to start with the fighters.
But
that's why I love Deontay Wilder so much.
But I think
because he's been doing testing. He's been doing testing.
But you can be one of those people.
Absolutely.
You can be that face behind it, that poster child, if you will. That can be part of your fight.
Yeah.
You're champion of the world.
Yeah.
You fight for yourself, you fight for your family, but you also fight for other things.
Yeah.
You fight
for other clean fighters.
That's what I'm talking about.
Nonito Donaire, Tim Bradley, guys like that, they were clean.
Yes.
They fell off at the same time as normal fighters fall off at. They've been fighting their whole life. 33, 34, 35. Now dudes is fighting up to
we're not afraid to say. I'm not afraid to say Pacquiao is a name that really. That,
you know what?
Listen,
I hate to start pointing fingers. If I don't have no definitive proof, it's hard for me to point at anybody.
But you
know
what? It's something sometimes called common sense, and sometimes something called the eye test. And sometimes the smell test.
Right.
And sometimes it just don't look and it don't smell right.
Right.
And you know what? You don't need somebody.
If it don't look right, it ain't right. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't really need a laboratory to tell you. Right. You don't really need all that.
Right.
And listen, again, he's right. I don't know for sure. And I love Pacquiao. He's been great for the sport. He's a good human being. He's done extraordinary things. But when you go up from the weight of a jockey, when you go up from basically you start at 105, you go up to bantamweight to featherweight to junior lightweight to lightweight.
But I do factor in that he turned pro at 16 years old.
No, I get you.
I'm not sounding what he did.
No, but later on, when he was stopped growing, we stopped growing when we were 21, basically. Right. When he stopped growing, and then he kept growing, kept getting bigger, and not losing any power, not losing any speed, and not getting any body fat, and staying muscle. Guess what? Mm-hmm. I don't exactly have to be a scientist,
a college graduate.
You know what I mean? Oh, college graduate. Like my man, to figure out that, you know what, if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it might be a darn duck. And I'm just saying that, listen, and he happens to be a guy that I love Pacquiao. I really do. And what he's done with his life and where he's come from. But that is wrong. And if this champion can go out there, besides the fight that he already has to fight, that he's fighting to accomplish the things that he's fighting to accomplish, can make this another one of those things, that maybe that's part of why you're here. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's part of why
everything happens for a reason.
Maybe that's part of why you're here. If you can make that change, if you can be part of making this sport cleaner, wow, you know what?
Well, I think I need people like you behind me.
You got it.
I think there's some more important people behind me. That's
you got it.
That's behind the scenes. That's can pull some strings, because these guys are not gonna stop cheating. They gotta up the ban, the punishment. It's a slap. It's a joke. The WBA suspended Gerald Miller for 6 months.
It is a joke.
Here's, you know what else they should do?
I just want a WBA title. I don't want to. I'm not talking bad about them. I'm just saying they gotta have I had a brain for it. They gotta have
accountability.
No, they gotta have
punishment.
The punishment has to be more severe.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, why would I stop? If I'm a drug addict, why am I gonna stop? If I'm all right, 6 months, cool. I'm okay.
You're right. You know there has to be a reason. There has to be a strong impediment.
I say 2 years first attempt, and then the second life ban.
You're gone. I agree.
Everybody got an excuse. Oh, I ate beef. Oh, I did this. I ate that. Let me tell you something. I've never tested positive for a drug, and I know everything that's going into my body. I take vitamins, and I take iron pills, and I work with Victor Conti, And his background. He's
through
rehabilitated.
He went through some bad stuff with
Absolutely,
what
but he's rehabilitated now, and he's doing a lot of good things. He's been sponsoring me since, what's that, Steve, 2013? 14. He's sponsored me since 2014. And everything that he gives me, we talk about, is nothing, everything is over the counter. No banned substances whatsoever.
See, he knows about it. He can run clinics
with
for
you. Sure, he do.
Because he knows that stuff.
I know so much about it through Victor Conti.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Boxing's got to get better. I don't want to see nobody die. And I'm a fighter. It could be me. You know what I mean? I'm probably going to fight for at least 5 years. Yeah. I don't want to die in the ring, or I don't want to see nobody else die and then find out somebody pops dirty. And then the congressman and all these people will come out and say, well, we need to change. Well, no, it's too late because the life is already gone.
No. That's where you're wrong, my friend. They're coming out and say we need to abolish the sport. See, that's what scares me. That's what scares me. That's the difference between how they feel about baseball and how they feel about the people in this business. They don't care as much about the people in this business. They don't. They've shown it already.
For sure.
So for baseball, they say, we got to correct this.
Yeah.
But for boxing, they say, we got to think about getting rid of it. And that's what scares me.
Right.
Well, cool. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse. We covered that one extensively, but I want to hear about your activities outside of boxing, and specifically your real estate investments. You mentioned it during your post-fight conference. Can you tell me a little bit about what kind of activities you're getting up to in your business life, if you will?
Okay, so when I first started making money, like enough money to save and do stuff with, I didn't really know what to do with it. And I remember Steve is like a real estate guru. Steve got like properties all over the city. He builds like new constructions and stuff like that. So I didn't really know how to do it, but I just watched him how he do it. And we started talking about it. He started teaching me things and telling me what I should do with my money. But me being 24, 25 years old, I remember when I was about to have my first daughter, Zara. She's 4 years old now. I had her in 2015. At this time, I'm fighting every other month, and I'm making really good money. And it's like around that time that PBC first hit. I remember I had like a large lump sum of money in the bank, and I was living in a one-bedroom apartment, and I had a car that I owned. It's like a Cadillac DTS. I only paid like $4,500 for the car. I had probably about like $300,000 in the bank.
Wow. And
I didn't know what to do with it, but I grew up around Terrell Biggs, 1988 Olympic gold medalist. Fought Mike Tyson, 1984 Olympic gold medalist. 88 was Lennox Lewis. He beat Lennox Lewis. That's what he beat Lennox Lewis in '84. That's what threw me off. But I had a lot of conversations. He worked at the recreation center that I started boxing at. Had a lot of conversations with Terrell Biggs. Everybody else would laugh at him and talk about him and like shoo him, and because he's like a quiet kind of guy until you start talking to him. And I remember as a young kid, 14, 15 years old, he would always tell me about all the money that he had. He was like, I would say he's like a little bit depressed. And he would tell me how he like messed up his money with drugs and hanging with Tyson, and, and all the success that he had early, and basically how he squandered off all his money. And these conversations went on for about 3-4 years. Like every day I would see him, we just talk about a whole bunch of nothing. Tell me, it's like, yo, man, when you go out and you want to practice on that jab, go out in the field and practice on like trying to catch like flies with your left hand. That's how I got my jab so good. He got real good jab. It's still fast to even to when I was training at the gym. We had a real fast jab, and we would talk about different things, but mostly we would talk about how he messed up all his money and, with the bad habits and the women and the drugs and the not training right, not living right. And it stuck with me. So when I started making this money, I'm literally living in a one-bedroom apartment, and I got a car that I own, and I'm not spending no money. I was about to have my daughter. So Steve's like, yo, man, buy a duplex. I listened to him, but I didn't quite listen to him. I bought a house. I should have bought a duplex first. And then after that, I bought a duplex. I bought a house. I spent $115,000 cash on the house. I bought it flat out. And after that, every time I would get a fight, I just started buying houses. I would fix them up and I would rent them out. And that's like my way of boxing. Like you said, boxers is like, we don't like the island. We don't have no pensions. We don't have health insurance. We don't have nothing. We're independent contractors, and the IRS will let your butt know. All you gotta do is call them up. They'll let you know.
That's a good point.
So this is my way of creating my own pension and financial stability for myself and for my family. You know, this thing could be over any minute. God forbid, I can get in a car accident today on the way back to Philly. I won't be able to fight ever again. You know, so I think that it was super important for me to invest in something. It don't make no sense to me. I see the fighters, to each his own, but I see fighters go out, they make their first little bit of money, they want to buy the jewelry and buy the cars and buy all the things that depreciate right after you buy it.
Sure.
I don't buy anything that can't make me no money. I don't spend over $10,000 on anything that can't make me no money. If it can't make me no money, I spend more than $10,000 on it, I don't need it. You know?
I hope if the fighters out there are listening, this is the one thing that they take away from it, because you see a lot of fighters do this, and I always think in the back of my mind when I see a fighter, especially up and coming kid with tons of diamond necklaces and stuff, like, what
don't make no sense.
It doesn't make sense. Like, this money has to last the rest of your life unless you're going to be a Rhodes Scholar when you're done fighting.
Right.
Or go.
I want to add one thing, or touch on one thing before we get finished, and that's something you touched on about you making good money.
Mm-hmm.
Al Heyman.
Mm-hmm.
Al Heyman's made good money for a lot of fighters.
Mm-hmm.
He's a controversial figure out
Mm-hmm.
there, and he's a mystery man.
Right.
But he's done pretty good for a lot of good fighters.
He did.
Or a lot of fighters, I should say. How's your relationship with him? And maybe you want to touch real quick.
We got a good relationship, man. Al Heyman is, I don't know how he do it, but how can I say this? He kept every promise he ever made to me. You know, I signed with him when I was, what was I, Steve, 9-0 when I signed with Al Heyman? 2012, I was 9-0. I was in a terrible contract with Gary Shaw. I wasn't making no money. It was fight me once or twice a year. For a kid that's in a single-digit number of fights, you got to fight more than twice a year. Yeah. I signed with Al Heyman. It's been good ever since. Even after the loss, he said, "Don't worry about it." You know, he said, "Man, Duran got knocked out, came back." He said, "Plenty great fights." He told me, "Plenty great fights get knocked out. Trust me, don't worry about it. We're gonna get you back soon. You know, you're gonna be a champion." And I listened to him. You know what I mean? I listened to Steve, and like I said, man, I just been blessed my whole life to just have good people around me. And I think, like, it's no coincidence. You know what I mean? I just sucked it up from everybody. Every good person that came into my life at that point in time in my life, I just sucked up all that. And even guys like Terrell Biggs, he's a super good dude. Well, he was to me at least. Mm. And he taught me a lot of things just from conversation and from his experiences, what he experienced in his career. Steve taught me a lot of stuff with real estate and life experiences. My other trainer, Sim, teach me a lot of stuff. Mr. Kenny teach me things. My first coach, he taught me a lot of things. I just was always blessed with male figures that taught me a lot of stuff about life and boxing and business and just doing the right thing. You know, so I just suck. I was smart enough to listen though, because everybody don't listen.
That's right.
I was smart enough to take it all in and be able to apply it in my life. Boxing and business with real estate and things like that.
And this will be the last thing I say.
What's up? What's up?
Keep the cycle going, and you continue to help others.
Yep.
I will. You're a good person. You just described a lot of good people that have done good to help you, that you drew from. Well, now you're in a position where you can continue to do that same thing and help others.
Yeah.
In many different ways.
I will.
Just by telling your story.
Absolutely. That's why, like I said, I don't like talking about, you know, how I grew up and, you know, my mother and her drug addiction, and I didn't even ask my siblings how they felt about it. You know what I mean? I know my little brother is okay because, like I said, he grew up worse than me. I remember when things like really got bad, really hit the fan. DHS's Department of Human Services, like child services, came in. I went to stay with my dad for a few. DHS came and took my little brother. So my little brother was separated from my mom for years. Like, he didn't grow. My little brother got adopted by a different family, you know, and he had it worse than me. I remember he told me, I didn't even know this, maybe like 2 years ago, he told me, like, listen, I was with one whole family for like a whole year and a half, and before I got adopted by the family that I stayed with. Like, I didn't even know that, you know what I mean? And by the way, me and my little brother's like super close. That's like one of my best friends.
Great.
But he told me, like, yo, tell the story because it happened. So tell it. You know what I mean?
That's it. That's your truth.
I agree. It's important.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we want to be sensitive to your time. I could talk to you all day about all these
Right.
things.
Wait. It's a little late to be sensitive after we kept him here for 14 hours. It's a little late to be sensitive. We're just very happy we had you with us.
I appreciate you guys inviting me up.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. And thanks for coming up, Steve. It was good to meet you. Take care, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice one, dude. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate you guys. Yeah.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yeah.